Yeah, Wenwu's cool and all. But I reckon this guy could take him. And don't tell me he can't. Hello everyone and welcome to another Rewind review. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at a movie that I have really been looking forward to talking about on here. And that movie is Kung Fu Hustle. Released in 2004, Kung Fu Hustle takes place in Shanghai, China in the 1940s, where a wannabe gangster aspires to join the notorious Axe Gang, while residents of a housing complex exhibit extraordinary powers in defending their turf. Co-written, directed and starring Stephen Chow, with co-writers Kan Chung Shang, Jin Hao and Man Kung Chan. I am so sorry if I am saying these names wrong. The movie stars Qi Yan, Zi Chung Lam, Hua Yan, Siu Lung Liung, Zi Hua Dong, Chi Ling Chu, Danny Kwok Kwan Chan, Jing Yu and Shenji Huang. So, have I seen this movie before? Oh yes. I've seen this film a few times and it is one that I will happily say that I really enjoy. I will admit I haven't seen many of Stephen Chow's movies in the past, to be honest. I've only really seen this movie and Shaolin Soccer, another movie I really enjoy. But one thing that does often surprise me is just how many people that I know who have never even heard of this movie, of Shaolin Soccer, or even Stephen Chow. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this video. So what is this film? Kung Fu Hustle is a foreign language action comedy that both parodies and honours kung fu movies of the past. The story follows a character called Sing, a con man living on the streets with his best friend Bone, who wants to join the dastardly Axe Gang. The only problem is, he has to kill someone to prove his loyalty. And this proves hard to do, especially when he sets his sights on the eccentric landlady and the various inhabitants of Pigsty Alley. And this sets off a chain of chaotic events that leads to an escalating kung fu showdown and Sing discovering his true calling. So when it comes to the actual story itself for Kung Fu Hustle, it does have a lot of the hallmarks and a lot of the cliches that you would associate with a kung fu movie or even a chosen one storyline, but it's all handled in a much more comedic light. The biggest issue that I have with it is that it can be a little bit messy and it doesn't always make a lot of sense. It does add to the chaotic and cartoonish nature of the film, but it does result in things getting rushed, introduced late, not given enough focus, and the characters themselves having very quick changes of heart. But that doesn't really bother me when it comes to this film, because personally, whenever I watch this movie, I watch it for the laughs, for the action, and what the characters get up to. The characters in Kung Fu Hustle, yes, as I said, there are some rushed ideas and they can change quite fast. But in spite of all that, the characters are a load of fun and very memorable. There's a really good mix of characters and a decent variety of personalities, abilities and goals, with some being quite over the top and exaggerated, which does fit the world they live in really well, and others are a bit more grounded. And slap bang in the middle is Sing, played by Stephen Chow. He is excellent. He gives a really good performance that balances both drama and comedy very well. The character is a load of fun and you do understand his motivations for wanting to join the Axe Gang, especially after you see his backstory. He also has some really funny scenes where he tries hustling people. My favourite's where he's trying to pick a fight with someone and he keeps changing his mind on who it is that he wants to fight when he sees how intimidating each of them are. But he does get some fantastic action scenes and stunts and Stephen Chow is brilliant at it. Plus there's this scene. I think that all of the actors are doing some good work in this film. As I said, there are some very memorable characters that do make appearances in this movie, and each one of the main characters do get a moment to shine. Especially the three kung fu masters played by Zi Hua Dong, Chi Ling Chu and Jing Yu, who all have unique abilities and get one of the best fights of this movie that really shows off what it is that they can do. And yes, the tailor with his metal bands absolutely has an influence on the Mandarin Wenwu in Shang-Chi. There's actually a scene in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings where you actually go into Shang's apartment and on his wall is a poster for Kung Fu Hustle. Now that was cool. Anyway, I'll even say that some of the minor characters that don't get to do much still add an extra something to the film and do get a couple of memorable moments. Like Sing's sidekick Bone, played by Zi Chung Lam, and Fong, the ice cream vendor, played by Shenji Huang. But there is no denying that the best character in this entire movie is the landlady, played by Qi Yan. Oh my god, she is so much fun. She is straight-faced, funny, strict, kind of scary, especially with footwear, and I honestly have no idea how her husband, played by Hua Yan, is still alive after she discovers lipstick on his cheek. It's just that bit where he gets home and it's all nice and friendly and everything, and then next thing you know, you just hear her just shouting, "Lipstick!" And the next thing you know, you see him like getting thrown around the living room, and then it's just like them in the windowsill, and she like drags him down underneath, and you just hear one. boom. There's even the bit where he gets thrown out the window and he like does this like big somersault to the floor and then he just slams face first and the next thing you know, a flower pot suddenly just drops on his head and cracks open. It's violent, but it's very funny. She is unfortunately one of the characters that does change quite quickly towards the end of the movie, but at least the changes do get hinted at, similar to what it is that they do with Sing. And to be fair, it does lead to some of the most creative sequences. And most of those creative sequences involve the bad guys, the Axe Gang. The dancing Axe Gang. Yes, there's actually a dance sequence in this movie. It's not long, but it is there. While I don't think that they're the most threatening villains, I do think that they are entertaining and surprisingly quite sadistic, especially their leader, Brother Sun, played by Danny Kwok Kwan Chan, and the Axe Gang themselves do provide a decent challenge to the masters, but that's only when they get assassins involved to take them out, including the musicians and the Beast played by Siu Lung Leung. The Beast kind of takes over as the central antagonist after he's introduced, and I do like how it is that he is presented, with the way that he starts off as this very unassuming person. He doesn't really seem like a threat whatsoever, and then he gets attacked and you suddenly realise why it is that he is as dangerous as they say he is. To me, he kind of feels a bit like Kraven the Hunter, where he's only really interested in a challenge. The only reason that he will even help the gang is if the opponent that they are putting him up against can actually give him a proper fight, and I actually quite like that. The biggest negative for me regarding the Beast is just how late on he's introduced, which is disappointing. As I said, because he does become the main antagonist, and they could have built up the rivalry between him and the others more. But I do like him as an antagonist, even if his powers don't exactly make sense. Yeah, I should probably talk about that now. As you've probably gathered, Kung Fu Hustle is very over the top, so much so that several characters that are featured in this movie have very unique skills and basically superpowers. If you aren't aware of this going into the movie, the first time that you watch it and these characters start doing all these absolutely amazing things, you will be watching this movie and just going, what? Because it does come out of the blue and it is absolutely nuts. But even so, the powers that the characters have are a mixture of things that we have seen before and things that we haven't. How they're used and integrated into the fights is really good, fun, and very creative, and that is honestly why a load of these fight scenes are so memorable. One of my favourite scenes that merges everything together is the harpists fight, where these two assassins use a harp as a weapon that sends out shockwaves and daggers and even scary zombie looking warriors. It's really cool. But my favourite scene, and in my opinion the funniest scene of the entire movie, is the chase sequence between the landlady and Sing. That entire sequence, starting off from Sing trying to throw a knife at her, missing and catching himself, all the way through to the Roadrunner-esque chase down a road, is just comedy gold. And you know what? That's actually how I want to describe this movie. It's like a cross between Looney Tunes and Dragon Ball. Now that's a crossover I want to see. This is a movie that does have a very cartoon manga-esque sort of vibe and overall sort of tone and style to it, and it really does embrace that with the way that, especially when it comes to the visuals, it looks absolutely gorgeous and it looks like something that has come directly from a comic book. There is a lot of influence and imagery from other films, like lines of dialogue. There's a load of callbacks to movies from Bruce Lee, who actually inspired Stephen Chow to explore martial arts. And there's even a really out of the blue reference to The Shining as well, and it's not the bit people usually parody either. I don't actually understand why that's in this. It is a very over the top movie, as I said, and I do think that that might put some people off from watching this movie, but personally I do think that it does work very well and it does make the movie a lot funnier. This is a comedy, as you have probably guessed by now, and it is genuinely really funny. It's a very daft, cheesy and exaggerated kind of humour that is in this, and it features a load of very good visual gags and some brilliant slapstick, so it is definitely up my street. But when it kicks into action mode, oh wow. The fight sequences are absolutely incredible, with a mixture of different fighting styles, hand-to-hand combat and fantasy-esque wire work and superpowers. There's a great variety of different set pieces which all have their own flavour, such as the three masters coming together to fight off the Axe Gang, the beautifully brutal music fight and the epic final confrontation. I will say that it can get a little bit ridiculous towards the end of this movie, especially when a load of new elements get introduced, and the general consensus that I have seen from people who have seen this movie is that it does get a bit weird and a bit random, which I won't disagree with, but it doesn't undermine just how well these scenes are crafted. They're slick, they're brutal, this more than earns that 15 certificate or R rating if you're in the US. They are expertly choreographed and performed fantastically by the actors and stunt doubles. I love how the sound design is used as well and how it balances out sequences that feature music or just sound effects. And because there are scenes that do strip away any music and it is just primarily the sound effects, it does help enhance the more brutal aspect of it a little bit more, and it does make it a little bit more impactful. I love how the environments are used, well, what's left of the environments after everyone's done fighting. I love how it is that they incorporate the superpowers, and both the stunt work and the wire work are absolutely fantastic. There are visuals and set pieces and action sequences in this movie that will stay in your mind for years. There are obviously some CG enhancements here and there and just kind of sprinkled throughout just to kind of enhance some of these sequences, and for 2004 they don't really look that bad. They don't appear too out of place, and they do match the style and visuals nicely enough. Yes, there are moments that don't quite hold up, and it can look a tad dated in some scenes, but it actually does kind of work and does add to the overall charm and sense of fun. To me, it helps enhance the more cartoonish elements and more comic booky elements of this movie. So to me, it does work quite well, but I could see it being maybe a little bit jarring for others. But at the same time, this is a movie that does prioritise trying to do everything for real, doing everything as practically as possible, and that is one of the reasons why a lot of these big set pieces and a lot of the more over the top elements do still hold up. And overall, what they've been able to do in this movie, what it is that they've been able to create, what they've been able to craft, is genuinely incredible. Plus, Kung Fu Hustle also features a soundtrack from Ying-Hua Wang and Stephen Chow. He's a bit of a busy boy, is Stephen. I'm actually kind of surprised how many movies that I've done reviews for on this channel where the writer, director, producer and main star has also been the musical composer as well. It's really amazing just how many have actually done that. Anyway, it maintains the comical and humorous tone that you would expect from a comedy soundtrack, but when it needs to, the music will swell and it will become so much more epic when some of the more bigger things happen. Like the visuals and the storytelling tropes and cliches, the soundtrack does borrow a lot of elements from other kung fu movies and Asian cinema, and I do think that overall it is good and it is used well. Would I recommend this movie? Absolutely. It is a load of fun. I always have a great time whenever I watch this movie, but I will be honest, I don't think that this movie is going to be for everyone. I think some people will definitely say that it is a little bit too over the top and it can be a little bit too daft, and I do understand where some people will be coming from if they do say that, but I will still say try and at least give this movie a go if you can. Just give it a try. Go into this with an open mind and take it for what it is. You might just have some fun. Overall, Kung Fu Hustle is nothing short of a blast from start to finish. Yes, it does have its problems and a few shortcomings, like a slightly messy story that doesn't always make sense, and some elements including character arcs and developments that are rushed, introduced too late, or not given enough focus. But this film more than makes up for it with some funny and memorable characters and performances, some spectacular visuals, a good soundtrack that's utilised well, and some excellent fights, stunts and choreography. Yes, some of the CG effects don't quite hold up 20 years on, and yes, the movie can be corny, cheesy and very over the top, but it all adds to the charm and fun. As I said, I would definitely recommend this movie if you have never seen it before, but no, it won't be for everyone. Just give it a go in with an open mind, and I'm sure that you'll really enjoy it. This is a funny and very entertaining movie, and I always have a great time every time I watch it. So with all that being said, my rating for Kung Fu Hustle is a 7 out of 10. I really need to check out more movies from Stephen Chow. As I said, I absolutely love Shaolin Soccer. It's like one of the few sports movies I actually really do enjoy, and that is a movie that I would like to do a review for in the future. But at the same time, I do want to have a look at the movies that I've never seen before, so that is something that I do want to do. One day I hopefully will. Well, I think that is pretty much everything I want to say for this video, so if you have watched this video, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the notification button to keep up to date on everything that's going on here. If you have seen Kung Fu Hustle, let me know down in the comments what you think about it and which movie from Stephen Chow is your favourite. Plus, if you have any suggestions for any future Rewind reviews you would like to see me do, let me know down below. But until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. See you guys.